for joining me once again here on Talkin Fight for another episode of Boxing News today. Quite a few stories to go over, and I think we'll just start off with a brief little result out of Australia in an IBF light heavyweight eliminator. Unbeaten IBF number 14 Malik Zanad, 22-0, 16 knockouts, won a 12-round majority decision over IBF number 4 Jerome Pampablon, who you might remember I told you all about last week. 18-1, 11 knockouts. And Zanad now becomes the mandatory IBF challenger for the winner of the undisputed clash between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, taking place on June 1st. And those names might come up in this upcoming episode. But before we get to those particular names and others, let's talk about Ryan Garcia's dad for a sec, Henry. Henry suspects that Devin Haney might have broken his jaw in his loss to his son, Ryan Garcia, in that fight that took place in Brooklyn, New York. Henry says that Devin, now 31-1, is still in New York. He thinks he's in one of the state's hospitals, having his jaw injury tended to. Haney's jaw was badly swollen on the left side, it was seen and noted, and blood was coming from his mouth. Henry feels Bill Haney should have stopped the fight in the 7th round to protect his son Devin, who was dropped and pummeled by Ryan in the round. It got worse for Haney after the 7th, as he was taking a beating from Ryan from rounds 8 through 12. Said Henry Garcia, that Haney era is gone. It's going to take a while for him to recover. And yes, indeed. It could take a while before Haney returns to action. It's going to be hard for him to fight, come back from this loss. His confidence certainly be gone. And the top fighters at 140 can use Ryan's win as a blueprint to follow. So let's move along from the Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney clash. Let's talk about a couple of super welterweights who I mentioned the other day who might be fighting in Los Angeles on August 3rd. I had mentioned that Vergil Ortiz, 20-0, and Tim Tysyu from Australia, 24-1, are reportedly planned for that undercard taking place August 3rd in LA. It's all contingent on whether the deal can get done between the headliners, who would be Terence Crawford, 40-0, 31 knockouts, who we hope will face WBA's super welterweight champion Israel Madrimov. He's 10-1. So if that card can be sorted out, it will be sorted out to take place at BMO Field. No, that's called BMO Stadium over in LA. And but first, Ortiz must get by Thomas Delorme. That takes place. Actually, it might have taken place, I think, before proceeding to face Tysyu. Oh no, that's coming up. That's coming up in a couple of days. Luis Ortiz. Vergil Ortiz, Thomas Delorme. That's the co-main event alongside Jose Ramirez returned to action, by the way, against Francis Barthelemy, taking place in Fresno, California. A press conference is about to take place to confirm Terence Crawford Madrimov fight, and the event will signify the first American foray of Turkey Al-Sheikh, the chairman of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority. And the promotion of the event will be organized by Eddie Hearn of Matchroom. The BMO Stadium, by the way, has a capacity of 22,000 people. So it should be a pretty good fight indeed. I also mentioned, and I'll just bring it up again because I think it's funny, but if that fight's to take place, if it's going to get announced, also on an undercard, we expect to see Jarrell Miller and Andy Ruiz fight as well. So we're looking forward to that, without a doubt. All right, let's have a quick look here and see what else is going on around the world. Speaking of Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn has his doubts about Terence Crawford defeating Israel Madrimov if their fight gets made. Eddie feels it's a mistake for fans to assume Crawford will defeat Madrimov because he's facing a different kind of beast from anyone he's faced before during his 16-year career. Crawford's a good fighter, he says, but his resume is thin. He has no one other than a car crash wreck Daryl Spence to show for his long career. Once you get past Spence, Crawford's resume is filled with a lot of washed-up fighters like Amir Khan, Kell Brook, Sean Porter, Ricky Burns, and Julius Ndongo. Hearn mentions the size and punching power of Madrimov, who's never fought. Well, that's going to be a problem for Crawford, who's never fought at 154 and isn't a spring chicken at a weathered age of 36. Patrick Sternberg, who is writing for Bad Left Hook, thinks that IBF welterweight champ Jaron boots Ennis and his move to Matchroom, which is now proven quite lucrative because Eddie Hearn and Matchroom turned in a staggering $3.9 million offer at today's, that was yesterday's purse bid for his order title defense against Cody Crowley. So as champion, Ennis 31-0, will be the beneficiary of an 85-15 split, meaning he'll bank $3.315 million for that fight if Crowley accepts it. Crowley, 22-0, will receive the remaining $585,000, more than twice what he'd get if he proceeded with his WBC title eliminator against Suleiman Kissohok. So let's wait and see if that fight does take place in July in Philadelphia. Boots and his first homecoming since his 2018 knockout of Raymond Serrano. Eddie Hearn doesn't stop there. Matchroom promoter Eddie Hearn believes his fighter, Jaron Boots Ennis, is the guy that will give Terence Crawford his first defeat if WBA junior middleweight champ Israel Madrimov doesn't do it first on August 3rd in Los Angeles. Hearn believes Madrimov and Boots Ennis have what it takes to beat the 36-year-old Crawford, who hasn't been fighting on just an annual basis since 2020, and there's no way of knowing how he'll perform after another year out of the ring. Crawford's he's been in a victory lap since his win over Errol Spence Jr., which I mentioned, and he's milked that win for a little too long. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh plans to have Crawford fight Madrimov, as I said, on August 3rd, but Hearn thinks that Madrimov might be a bit too big and powerful for Crawford, who hasn't fought a big puncher like that in his long career. And again, mentions Errol Spence and Kell Brook as examples, but they were past it and not anywhere near the fighters they'd once been when he fought them. Said Eddie, I couldn't give enough credit to Terence. One, I like the guy. He's a dog when it comes to work, to hustle, to grind, and I think technically he's incredible. If someone's going to beat him, it's going to be someone that's too big for him. Israel Madrimov, or it's got to be someone that can match him, and Boots Ennis can match him. Don't get me wrong. I can't sit here and tell you Boots beats him easy. No one beats Terence Crawford easy. So it'd be interesting to see if Hearn can try and backtrack on his comments about Boots being the one who can match Crawford. But he's already said it. He believes that the 26-year-old Ennis is the one who can match Crawford, or maybe be more than a match for him. Some boxing fans, by the way, think Crawford has better power than Boots, but even if he does, it's not a huge difference. Boots is a much younger fighter in his mid-20s, and he stays busy training daily when he's not fighting. His youth might be too much for Crawford, who seems to be doing the minimum with his career now with his one fight per year part-time action. Hearn concluded, eventually, we're going to find someone to beat him. It might be Israel Madrimov. It might be Boots Ennis. Crawford's pound for pound all-time great. I think he gets all the big fights that he craves. All right, let's see what else is happening. Oh, it doesn't stop there. Chris Williams on BoxingNews24.com reports Terence Crawford's fight on August 3rd could be his last hurrah against the hard-hitter WBA junior middleweight champ Madrimov. This fight could be Crawford's swan song unless he finds a working time machine. Sorry, another great quote here. This fight could be Crawford's swan song unless he finds a working time machine to send him back a decade. Them lightning fast legs that Crawford used when he was younger to escape punishment are gone. He's 36 now and facing a young killer with Golovkin-esque power, and this isn't the type of guy that an older guy like Crawford can afford to go to war with. Madrimov is easily the bigger puncher in the 154-pound division, and I think you can argue that he hits harder than fighters at 168 like Canelo Alvarez. Wow. Let's conclude quickly here. Crawford's quicksilver footwork ain't nowhere to be seen, and fights like his feet are stuck in waist-deep quicksand. Wow. What we've seen lately is Crawford forced to trade heavy shots with his opponent and would defend on his counterpunching. The only way he wins now is by outpunching his opposition, and a big factor is why he's still winning is his low-level competition. Crawford has been very calculated in his choice of opposition since 2016. So Very simply, Madrimov is Crawford's kryptonite. He says Israel Madrimov has the kind of power that can punch holes through a brick wall, and he's still young at 29. He's easily the biggest puncher that Crawford has ever fought in his 16-year professional career. Madrimov is kryptonite for what's left of Crawford, who's clearly hanging around for the dough. The way Madrimov looked in his fifth-round knockout victory over Magomed Kurbanov was scary. How long will Crawford last getting hit by similar shots from Madrimov is the question. And this is a fight that Crawford wouldn't be taking, but he's doing it because it's the one that pays. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh is putting on the August 3rd card, and it's obviously one that Crawford is going to get a lot of dough. If not for that, I don't think Crawford would want anything to do with a young puncher like Madrimov because he hits too hard. And Terrence is on the wrong side of 30 to be fighting this kind of knockout artist. There you have it, boxing fans. Let's end today's show with a bit of news regarding Luis Nery and Inoue monster. Former 2-division world champ Luis Nery, he's 35-1, 27 knockouts, will take on pound-for-pound king Naoya monster Inoue, 26-0, 23 knockouts for the undisputed junior featherweight world championship on Monday, May 6th at Tokyo Dome. We all may remember this because this is the place back in 1990 when James Buster Douglas shocked the world and beat Mike Tyson. Anyway, this particular undisputed clash will top a fascinating world title quadruple header. Going to be shown live on ESPN Plus. And following a recent training session in El Paso, Texas, Nery has revealed his belief about the upcoming bout against Inoue, and it'll be the main event, obviously. In the co-feature, Jason Mayhem Mahoney, one of my favorite fighters out of Australia, 27-2, 19 knockouts, will defend his WBO bantamweight strap against Yoshiki Takai. He's 8-0. Takuma Inoue, 19-1, will defend his WBA bantamweight crown against former world title challenger Sho Ishida, 34-3. With Seigo Yuri Akai, 19-2-1, risking his WBA flyweight world title against Taku Karahara, 13-1, in a rematch of their 2021 encounter. Nery's only defeat came against Brendan Figueroa, but he has recovered well, winning his last 4 fights with a tough split decision triumph against Carlos Castro and an impressive second-round knockout last time against Florian Salazar. He was also involved in an entertaining slugfest in early 2023 against Azat Hovhannissian. Monster, anyway, 4-division champion, destroyed all comers throughout his career thus far. He destroyed Stephen Fulton and most recently defeated Marlon Tapales. So we're looking forward to that upcoming fight very soon. Nery had this to say: it's the highest stage one can reach as a fighter. It's like soccer players who prepare their entire lives for a World Cup. It's the same thing. This is bigger than a world championship. It's 4 belts. It's undisputed. So there you go. Nery spoke about wanting to fight Inoue and how he sees weaknesses to exploit. He said, I've been wanting to fight him for about 3 years now. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you look at it, the opportunity has come, and we're taking it seriously. He's an elite fighter. He's among the best fighters. He's fast. He's strong, but he has weaknesses, and he does take some punches. I'm the only one who can beat Inoue because I have good power. I can take punches. I have heart. I'm willing to die in the ring. I'm a fighter who, above all, is a brawler. I like to brawl in the ring, but I like to counter as well. If the fight allows for it, and if the fight and style allow for it, then I do it. I adapt to whatever style of fight. I'm going to get the victory. Good for him and good for boxing. Much better than the chatter we had to put up with before the Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia fiasco. And that still goes on. Let me just say this. He's been called out by Tim Bradley as being a cheater, Ryan Garcia, that is, in this whole weight kerfuffle. Let's not go there. Let's end on a happy note. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you again on talkinfight.com. Thanks very much for joining me.